Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Tonight we're going to do things a little bit different. It's not often that we have a double serving on NTA Tuesday Live, and tonight is one of those days. Of course, you do know that it's the International Women's Day today, so our conversation this evening will be starting on that front. Later on in the program, we'll take a look at wheat production and value addition. But we're starting off tonight with the matter of the moment, and that is the International Women's Day. Our conversation will start right after this report by Mamsu Demian Ati.
When I was sleeping, he gave me a button.
At 13, she was raped severally by her own father. At 14, still a child, Nika was forced to marry a man almost 4 times her age.
We have issues of child marriage, gender discrimination, female genital mutilation.
What about Halima, who is not alive to tell her story? She was allegedly killed by her husband.
Treacherous husband lured the wife out to a lonely path, positively identified the wife to the other gang members.
Or is it Zainab Galadima, intelligent, educated and successful, yet denied a chance to contest for a political position to represent her constituency?
I aspired for the seat of the House of Representatives, Amakwari constituency, but I did not make it. I faced a lot of challenges of resources, of support and so on.
And this one, a victim of domestic violence, turned into a punching bag. The list is endless. These are a few out of the many challenges faced by women, necessitating the adoption of March 8 annually to address these challenges and celebrate areas of achievements.
I want to congratulate all women across the world, and particularly Nigerian women, for their immense contributions towards societal cohesion and national development.
We also continue to advocate for women's representation around decision-making tables.
Globally, women are today marking their day and considering the theme.
Gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow.
In the interest of development, in the interest of peace, in the interest of unity of this country, the gender bills should be reconsidered.
Nigerian women should not be made irrelevant to the progress and future of this country.
The clause-to-clause aspect of the bill needs to be analyzed so that the ordinary man on the street can understand.
We're the women of tomorrow, so it's very important that we are at the round table when these decisions are being made.
See the capability of young people.
With days like this, projecting women's issues, it is hoped that the likes of Malama, Nika, and Zainab will be given opportunities to fulfill their dreams and aspirations to benefit humanity. In Abuja, Mamsu Demian Ati, NTA News.
All right, that sets the tone for our very first discussion tonight, International Women's Day and its theme. We'd like to introduce our guests to you. Welcome to this program, Dr. M.M. Omokaru, who's Director General, National Senior Citizens Center. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let me also welcome to this program Victor Arokoyo, is Head of Programs, Christian Aid UK, Nigeria. Thanks for being with us, Victor. And also here tonight is Comrade Lucy Yonana, Women in the New Nigeria and Youth Empowerment Initiative. Thanks for joining us on NTA Tuesday Live.
Good evening, viewers. Thank you for having me here.
All right, now let's go down to the main issues. There's so many here, and I do know that almost all citizens are aware of issues of women, the special needs of women. And so what we'll be discussing tonight is not new, but what's different here is the push to bring these issues to the front burner and to address them. And so let's begin from the premise of the theme of this year's International Women's Day.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. First, let me congratulate all the women, the girl child, everybody and all the supporters who've been pushing, as you say. This year's theme says equality, gender equality today, for tomorrow. And what that means to me, the way I choose to see that is that it's now bringing in the life cost perspective. Is looking at today as it's going to affect the future. And is basically saying that within the context of the socio-cultural, political, and if you may, religious setting, that context has a way of affecting the stages of life of the woman. And I'm talking about childhood, I'm talking about adolescence, I'm talking about, adulthood, and I'm talking about old age.
All right.
So where you have unfair norms, and you have gender roles, and you have social contexts that do not unlock the potentials of the woman, then you're saying that the interventions that should have liberated that girl child or that woman are not there. And therefore, what happens is that there's going to be a trajectory of disadvantages, an accumulation of disadvantages. And what that does is that these accumulation, these trajectories, health trajectory, if you may, income security trajectory, if you may, functional capacity trajectory, if you may, and this goes on to later life. That's the National Senior Citizen Center. And that's where you have, poverty has the face of the woman. Majority, they are poor. So that is what this is saying to me, that interventions, like the women are pushing for legislation to compel intervention, in fact, not affirmation anymore, as far as I'm concerned, it's transformation, alteration, so that now we are looking at a collective future. We are looking at how the trajectory of life, those necessary interventions, will now break the cycle, the systemic drivers of this marginalization. If we can break the cycle, whether it be through law reforms, whether it be constitutionally the best, because it will compel, state actors to know what to do, and that once you can break the cycle, it's about breaking the cycle.
Okay.
Once you break that cycle, then you bring a transformation, and then that trajectory now turns into advantage for the entire society.
Okay. Let's go over to Victor Arokoyo, Head of Programs, Christian Aid, UK, Nigeria. Well, Victor Arokoyo, you may be rightly described as a he for she, right? So let's hear you. What's your assessment of the situation of women in today's Nigeria? Yes, well, Victor Arokoyo, if you can hear me, let's hear your assessment of the situation of women in Nigeria today. Okay. All right. We'll fix that glitch as we go on, but yeah, it's still part of what we're discussing today. This is not a domestic issue. It is a global issue.
Yeah, it is.
So we would ask, in the scheme of things, where is Nigeria? What's the situation of women in Nigeria?
I would say that to some extent, the women in Nigeria have had, have seen some positive movements. Right. I should say, have seen some progress, somewhat. Because, of course, you know that education-wise, although we are talking about, school dropouts, you have many girls, but you do see that there are so many women that have opportunities to be in school. And even, the inclusive policy of especially this present government, giving opportunity, to the girl child, the school feeding program, giving opportunity and really drawing people in. So, and then, of course, when you look at political appointments, we could say some progress. Now you have, if you look at this present administration as well, you could see some more women are being appointed. But at the same time, when you look at the population, looking at the population, and you're looking at 49.8% is women, almost cut in half, men and women the same. And you look at, for instance, the Senate, you look at the chambers, how many women do you find there? You look at the House of Representatives. So you will say that, yes, we have made some progress, but at the same time, there is so much more to be made. And then, of course, now women have the opportunity to speak up much more. Women are speaking up much more. You could see the push, you see the networking, you see, the associations of women, the resilience of women. And then, of course, you see when you talk about entrepreneurship, you also see women there in the financial sector. You see women, but at the same time, we are looking at a situation where you find structural. When you look at structurally, you know that the women have a fair chance. We are talking about equity here. But when you look at equity and you look at the population, you talk about fairness, and then you talk about, social justice, the women really have a right to seek for more.
Okay. Well, quite recently, the whole country was made aware go along with affirmative
action.
No,
Transformative.
Now it's transformative.
It's transformative.
We're also aware of the setbacks suffered quite recently about the bills that was presented to the National Assembly. The House of Representatives is now going to take a second look at 3 of those bills. What's your take on that?
I know that you lose the battle, but you may not necessarily lose the war. And I also believe that this has somewhat worked out for good, because it has even brought more awareness. Maybe there were some people who were really not aware, and some women who were maybe, just sitting on the fence and just warming up. Now, I think it has galvanized women, and then it has brought it front and center, even to the National Assembly itself. And then I also believe that it has also made, like the Minister for Women Affairs said, made women to go back to the drawing board and to access, perhaps, there are other strategic pathways. Yes, they push at the National Assembly, and now I'm sure they are more determined to push within their parties, within the political parties themselves. So now it's not a matter of, please, can I have, or may I have? It is a matter now of negotiations. They now are aware that, look, we have the numerical we have the numbers.
All right.
So now within the parties, can there be negotiations?
Well, some people would say some progress has been made, and especially within the political class. But there are other women who say this is just mere tokenism, and they're pushing for the real thing, not just put a few women in positions, and that gives you peace of mind to go back and sleep and say, well, after all, we have done this.
You see, I believe that is where the Constitution comes in, and that is where legislation comes in. Why Constitution? Because remember earlier when I started up, I talked about intervention, breaking the cycle. And one would say, well, maybe women are asking to be given things on a platter. But if you look at the disparity, truly, sincerely, if you look at the disparity, look at the Senate. How many women are sitting there? Senate of 105. And you look at the House of Representatives. So asking for, a certain percentage as intervention, because if you wait and looking at the political terrain, and you wait until, okay, you join the political party, you start your own campaign. How many women? How many women can you get there? So I am looking at it, and women are looking at it as intervention. If you truly want transformation, if you truly want to close that gap, the disparity that we see, and if you are talking about equity, and then you are talking about fairness, then at least I believe that Nigerians should sit back and say, okay, can we consider this as an intervention? Okay. So I see it as an intervention for that transformation, like I said, to break the cycle.
All right. We'll take a short break here. When we return, there'll be more on International Women's Day and how to address the numerous issues. Stay with us.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough, and I can be tender. I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am Bilal. Who are you?
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, initially in the introductions of our guests, we had introduced Comrade Lucy Yunana, who had a bit of a hitch, a challenge there, getting to speak with her. But she's joined us right here in the studio. Comrade Lucy Yunana, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Steven.
You're of Women in the New Nigerian Youth Empowerment Initiative.
Yes.
We just go straight into it. How would you assess the position of women in Nigeria today?
It's terribly bad. With the passage of the bill that was done, honestly, every woman in Nigeria is heartbroken because women have contributed immensely to the development of this country. But it's like people are not appreciating what the women are doing. And I think I came out to talk to my women in Maiduguri to tell them that maybe the way that the National Assembly are going about the bills for women, maybe we'll boycott the 2023 election, because that shows that we are not important in this country.
Well, the House of Representatives is going to take a second look at that. What do you think about that?
Well, we wait to see what the outcome is going to look like, because they say in the next 4 weeks we're still alive by His grace, and then we'll wait to see if it's going to be positive to the women, or is it favorable to us. There's a lot of things that I think the people don't look at the contribution of women in this country.
You just talked about if something isn't done and quickly too, you will have a rethink about 2023. But let's come to the political frontier and say, how have women put in their own bit in the political landscape?
Women have done a lot, because when you look at during the election period, women comes out in mass to make sure that they cast their vote. When you look at the male counterparts, some of them will not even be on the queue. But a woman, when she's determined to do something, she will be there to see that to the end of to see that she cast her vote. But I think people don't appreciate what we're doing. And when you look at the majority of voters are women in this country.
Right. Okay. Take it up from that point. We have so many women, as she says, majority of the voters are women. You have the numbers. And so the question is, with that power in your hands, the women can change the political landscape.
Exactly what I said. I said they need to alter. Women, we need to alter. Why? Because we have the power.
Yes.
It's the voters' cards are in the hands of the women. So now I think, besides what is happening in the National Assembly, which I'm glad it has been reintroduced, and like I said, now it's front and center. Everybody's staring at you. Everybody's staring at it. Now, I think what has happened now has drawn women to the drawing table. Okay. And it's not a time to cry over women. It's a time to say, what are the strategic pathways? What are the pathways here? Now, in each party, there has to be very serious negotiations. We have the cards. We have the numbers. Now, let's forget about women's wing, and you give women a wing. Now, let women now be part and parcel of the entire formal structure of the party, and then negotiate. And then get the statistics. It's not that we have the number. What are the numbers? Get the statistics. Get the statistics of the men. And then reel it out. This is it. Let's negotiate. And then, which means women have to know what exactly they want.
Sometimes in addressing issues of women, you find that people hide under the guise of culture, religion, and some traditions where they say these are the things that inhibit the full integration of women. How do you see that, and what are the ways to overcome these hurdles?
I believe, like I said, when you talk about social justice and you talk about unfair norms and all these discriminatory rules of women, and then most of these things, like you have rightly said, are covered under the cloak of culture, religion, and all that. That is why, number one, we need high-level advocacy. Advocacy to these gatekeepers, called the gatekeepers. Advocacy to the leaders in all the, the religious organization. Advocacy to the traditional rulers. And then it should be women who indeed have, advanced some, have broken the barrier. It should be these women, because in every culture, in every state, in every ethnic group, you can point to some women that have broken they've broken the glass ceiling. So I think these women should all come together. The women should come together, and then, of course, come with the men supporting, the women. And then, of course, I'm sure amongst even the cultural, gatekeepers, and the religious gatekeepers, you have sympathizers there. So it's a matter of mobilizing. It's a matter of strategizing. It's a matter of identifying the enablers. Who are these ones that are going to enable these things to happen? And then moving forward.
Comrade, in breaking the bias,
social change.
How do you surmount some of these challenges, particularly those cultural factors?
Yeah, there's a lot concerning these cultural factors. In my state where I come from Borno State. I'm from Borno State, and I know the hurdles women have been facing in my state. Even when you talk about the political aspect of it, when maybe you are a career woman and you have a husband who wants you to be, to achieve your career in life. Maybe, and then he advised you, or he gave you the license of you participating in politics. Because he sees great things. He has seen some potentials in his wife, and he feels he has to encourage her. But there are people who are, I call them people that they are just there to discourage or to make sure that things don't work out. Let me just give an example. Maybe and then the political timing too is terribly, it's not favorable to women. maybe a husband who agrees that the wife should go to even late meetings. You find out maybe in the night she comes back home.
But the question is, must political meetings only be held at night?
But why should it be so? It's not favorable to us. Like married woman, you know, you look at the society. Like I said, I come from a degree. By the time my husband agrees that I should go out, but the community, they will start frowning at him. Just like an example, maybe in the night I went for a meeting and then I came back. My husband opens the gate for me. You know, what the other person will talk to him tomorrow is, it's like you had some visitors last night. It's a kind of a gossip. And then the man will say, no, it's not that we had visitors, but my wife went for a meeting. And then he will say, your wife? That late night? And then the man will start giving it a second thought. Maybe then tomorrow, maybe he's sitting alone, then something will be telling him, you know, the devil has ways of discouraging person. And then he will start saying, don't you reason with what man and Audu said to you last night about you allowing your wife to go out? Maybe the next other meeting, the wife comes to the husband, sweetie, I'm going out for... Then the man will change his voice now and say, no, you're not going anywhere. You know, these are some of the things, and I see women have a lot of potentials.
Oh, yes.
Just give us the opportunity and see. At times when I talk about gender equality in my state, I talk to them, they say, okay, like some of them, because of the religion aspect of it, they will tell you that they don't, they wouldn't like a male doctor to see their, as a gynae doctor to see their wives. And then when you say you don't want a male doctor to see your wife, why don't we allow girls? Give us the opportunity. We have the potential so that they could be doctors, so that those male doctors will not examine your wife. We have girls who are there, and it's the same people that will say, no, we don't want the education of a girl's child's education. Look at the irony of the whole thing, sir.
All right. Well, your final word, this mark the International Women's Day, the push for gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow.
Yes. I would want to say that women are not giving up, and we shouldn't give up. And I would also want to say that there are many strategic paths, and high-level advocacy is one. And that advocacy should even begin from within our homes. And then I also want to say that good examples that are out there, good examples abound, where you point to somebody who's made it and the benefit that has accrued to the community. So these good examples, like I said, should all come together. I think it's not only in, it's not in, the war is not going to be won through arguments. It's going to be won through exhibits of what a woman has done in the community, of the barriers that woman was able to go through, and look at what has happened. Look at all the benefits that woman has brought. And then I will also appeal to our women folk. All the ones that have made it should come together with one voice. All the ones that have made it, been a minister before, been a DG before, been head of service before, been local government, chairman before, this is the time to come together and, and push. This is the time. And it should be a national push.
Yes. Your closing comments too, keeping in mind that Dr.
Really said out my mind, but
advocacy can also start from the home.
Yeah, women are operational head of the family.
Yes.
And then we are the ones to start it right from the home, and then before going out. Like I said to my one of the special advisors, I said, I think there's a need for us after this, what the House of Assembly did, National Assembly did. So there's the need for women to call for conference. I think we're going to call for conference in my state, so that we'll sit down, so that we'll wash out our dirty linen within ourselves, so that this syndrome of pull her down or pull him down should be taken away from women, so that now we have a fight, a common fight that we have to fight it together. And we have to go to the rural areas to meet the women and the locals, to tell them there's the need for them. Because when you go to the villages, you find out that women are the majority that comes out to vote, so that they will come out, so that we'll be united to fight. It is our right. We are not begging. It is our right as women that we should be given that chance.
All right, then we'll have to leave this conversation here and say a very big thank you to Dr. M.M. Omokaro, Director General, National Senior Citizen Center, and Comrade Lucy Yunana, Women in the New Nigerian Youth Empowerment Initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Right, unfortunately, we couldn't get the views of Victor Rokoyo, Head of Programs of Christian Aid UK. This was more of a hitch that we had here. It would have been good to get his views as he for she. Yeah. We do acknowledge his efforts as well, and some other time when we continue this conversation, we will bring him in. So thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, up next, we'll be taking a look at our next issue that has to do with wheat production. But let's go on this short break and we'll be back shortly.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough, and I can be tender. I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am Bilal. Who are you?
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, Nigeria produces less than 5% of its yearly needs of wheat, putting pressure on foreign exchange. It's more than 90% of produce consumed locally is imported. Now, in 2020, Nigeria's total wheat imports amounted to 756.9 billion naira, of which about 186 billion was sourced from the United States, 144 billion from Russia, 132.3 billion naira from Canada, and some more from Lithuania. Now, we'll take a look at the status of wheat production in Nigeria and the impact of the slight economic shake-up in parts of Europe, as well as the prospects of more investment in the commodity by Nigeria. But just before that conversation, let's see this report by our agriculture correspondent, Musa Aliu.
It is one of the oldest cultivated plants in the world and has always been one of the most important staples for many countries. The grain remains the world's most important crop, followed by rice and maize. Global wheat production as at 2021 increased above 800 million tons based on Food and Agriculture Organization research findings. The world's largest producer of wheat is China, followed by India, then Russia. The production of wheat in Africa remains at its lowest and insignificant compared to the demand by the populace. The continent therefore relied on countries such as Russia, Ukraine, and the United States for the supply of the produce to close any gap. The war between Russia and Ukraine in recent time and the subsequent sanctions against Moscow have begun to impact on the global supply of wheat negatively.
Most African countries, depend on the import of cereal, wheat, and corn from Russia and Ukraine. Let's take, for instance, South Africa. South Africa has billions of investments in Russia, as well as the import of wheat, corn, cereal, from Russia.
Before now, 14 countries in sub-Saharan Africa, including Nigeria, launched an aggressive move towards boosting the production of wheat to meet their national demand. On the side of Nigeria, a new variety of seeds have been developed that is adaptable to the country's climate. Another seed for rainy season has also been produced, tested and certified with good yield, which is described as encouraging.
Our overarching strategy for the wheat value chain include 1. Ensuring availability of high-yield seeds for financing seed multiplication and establishment of seed ripple centers. 2. Expanding land under cultivation for wheat to a level that can meet the nation's demand.
With the production of wheat, just like any other crops, we know that other allied industries will come up. Processing industries, manufacturing industries, and this will also help on unemployment.
This is expected to expand Nigeria's wheat production to about 60% in the next few years. However, the market instability, issues relating to guaranteed minimum price, and preference of imported wheat against the locally produced are the major challenges. Agriculture economists have rated wheat as political and of high economic crop, believing that countries like Nigeria should be ready to invest more to harvest more.
All right, so wheat production and value addition. Let's introduce our guests to you for this segment of the discussion. I would like to welcome to this program Dr. Oluwashina Gbenga Olabanji, former Executive Director of Lake Chad Research Institute. Thanks for being with us here tonight.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Okay, let me also welcome to this program Stephen Ambore. He's Head Digital Financial Systems, CBN, and also the CBN Wheat Value Chain Lead. Thanks for joining us on NTA Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much, Shiru. Nice for having me.
Right, and we're also here with the President of Wheat Farmers, Salim Saleh. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me this evening.
All right. So we go straight into this discussion talking about wheat production and value addition. So let's see, with this current agrarian revolution that we're experiencing in Nigeria, where is the position of wheat production? First, let's hear from the wheat farmers.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. Let me start by saying the revolution has started. CBN has kick-started the revolution because the good inputs, the seed variety, in every planting or any farming activity, the key factor of farming and success of the farming is seed. CBN has mobilized and brought in a good yielding, heat-tolerant seed for the farmers, which we have taken. And at the farming level, we have organized farmers, put them into cluster groupings, state by state according to the structure of the association. As I am speaking to you currently now, we have planted over 63,000 hectares of land. This is a giant stride compared to the previous years. And this has come to be or to happen because of the financial support that the association got from the CBN. CBN has funded for the program. We have gotten all the necessary, inputs needed to go into the production. For instance, the seed was brought from Mexico, from a foreign country, which is a promising seed that can give a farmer a minimum yield of 3, 4, up to 5 metric tons in a hectare. That is number one. Number two, we have also received the fertilizers, the NPK. Even the NPK given to the farmers was a formulated, NPK according to scientific recommendation to give to the farmers. we have gotten the urea, and we have gotten also the training by an expert from Mexico, also brought in by CBN, to train our farmers on the new innovative technologies. You know, initially we were doing it under the traditional, aspect or semi-modern technology, but currently now we have a new innovation technology where our farmers were trained on how to prepare the land, how to plant the seed. You know, as I said earlier, traditional method of doing it was broadcasting. But now our farmers were trained on how to put it into a drilling system that will make efficiency, in the utilization of the inputs. It will make the land to be much more populated with the plants. And then the farmers can find it very easy when it comes to the administration of other inputs or application of water and management of the water too.
So you would say definitely that things are looking up for wheat farmers in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's come to Stephen Ambori, the head of Digital Financial Services, and you are also the CBN wheat value chain lead, and this is something that lots of people want to hear about, lots of value chain in wheat production.
Thank you very much once again, Cyril. The farmers have spoken, and we're excited to be part of this. He has given some information regarding where we are in wheat and what the farmers think about it. I cannot start this conversation without talking about the Anchor Bora program, because it's a program that basically laid the foundation for all this. It's the CBN flagship retail agri intervention program, basically to support smallholders farmers to boost their productivity through a value linkage approach. So basically we are guaranteeing market for the farmer and we are guaranteeing inputs for the producer. We've run this for 7 years. We've seen it in rice. We've seen the productivity in rice. We have seen the impact in the economy, and we've revised through continuous learning. We've improved what Anchor Bora used to be. We've further strengthened the participating bank to issue credits and actually get a recovery with better insurance. So I'm basically saying we lay the foundation through Anchor Bora program before coming to wheat.
About how much would you say of this program has gone into wheat?
All right. We actually started this wheat program in the year 2020. Remember, with the COVID pandemic and the disruption in global supply chain. So I would dare to say we're very proactive about this. Now everybody's talking about Russia and Ukraine, but we actually started this during COVID because it was a very global issue, the disruption of supply chain, and it affected agriculture as well. And when we're talking of food security, you cannot talk about food security without wheat. Going into that, we marshaled out some strategies, which the chairman is now talking about, and some of what we saw at the commencement of the program. Basically, after looking at the value chain and where the challenges are, we noticed that the issues were more on the production side and not the processing side. And we focused a lot on the production side, looking at seeds, looking at land, looking at the ecosystem generally, facilitating collaboration, and looking at the technologies that farmers use. So taking seed as a leg of our strategy, what we saw when we came in was that in country we do not have sufficient high-yielding variety of seed that could drive the kind of production that we're looking for. So through an intricate seed multiplication approach, we're able to increase our seed bank from 0 to where we are today. That is making us to go out for the brown revolution. Typically, farmers are not able to meet their loan obligation because of the yield of those seeds, but we are getting there, because of the quality of seeds that we've brought in. Then I spoke about agronomic practices earlier. Seeds alone are not enough, You need good practices to bring out the potentials of these seeds. So we're working with best-in-class experts to maximize the potentials of the seed, and we're seeing early results. Thank you.
Okay, and this is a good place to bring in the researcher, Dr. Oluwashina Benga Olabanji, former executive director of Lake Chad Research Institute. Let's hear you.
Thank you so much. Actually, wheat is a strategic commodity for food security, good income, creation of wealth, and jobs for the youth. Yes, we have the potential to be self-sufficient in wheat production in this country because we have about 1.2 million hectares suitable for wheat production in Nigeria. Yes, we had a revolution on wheat before. You will recall that there was accelerated wheat production program in this country. Mm-hmm. And that time, our national production rose from 70,000 metric tons to 400,000 metric tons.
So what happened?
Within 3 to 4 years. Policy somersault. Policy somersault was our problem. When people are talking, Sudan had 50%, Ethiopia had 70%, we could attain 100% self-sufficiency in wheat production if we get our policy right. And we thank God for this present government. Our president flagged the rice and wheat production program in Kebbi, and that's what made CBN to now say, yes, we have done it for rice, and now Nigeria can say we have attained about 80% self-sufficiency in rice. They can also do same for wheat, and that's how we need to commend the efforts of the governor of Central Bank that have put wheat into the Akobura program. 3 major challenges in the wheat value chain. One, I mentioned, policy somersault. But we thank God, with the present government, there's a shift in the policy for food security. And you can see now, in the agricultural sector, there's a transformation already, even with rice, with wheat, with maize. So we thank God for that, and we hope it will be sustained. Second challenge, quality seed that my colleagues have mentioned. Not that we don't have seed, but it is not adequate to meet our farmers' demand. A country with 200 million people cannot say it's 5% self-sufficiency in wheat production. It's worrisome. With all the opportunities that we have, water resource is there, human resources are there, the climate is so favorable. Now we have developed heat-tolerant wheat variety, and that is what CBN brought. But I need to mention, this variety that is brought is released in Nigeria. And this variety gave a yield of 6 to 8 tons per hectare in Mexico. In Nigeria, our farmers that have started harvesting now, some of them have gotten 4.5 tons per hectare. So we want to thank CBN for that. The third one, let me mention the third one. The third one is marketing. He knows, some years ago, our farmers could not grow wheat because there was no market. But now, there is 100% commitment from Flour Milling Association of Nigeria. Who are the off-takers of the wheat? Off-takers of the wheat. They say whatever our farmers produce, they are ready to take. So the revolution has started. We have started the journey to self-sufficiency in wheat production in Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
As we continue with this conversation, we also have a number of reports. We'll take our first report tonight, which is coming from Maiduguri. Let's get to see this report.
The arable lands of Lake Chad area of Borno State has been known as a hub for production of cereals, especially wheat, mostly at the Chad Basin Development Authority's thousands of hectares of cultivable areas of Murti, Gamboru, and Baga. This supremacy in wheat production was lost to Boko Haram insurgency that caused the displacement of gaming populations in the Lake Chad region, turning most parts of the area into war zone. Interestingly, the Lake Chad Research Institute, Maiduguri, has developed a modern approach to boost wheat production, even among smallholder farmers, with the release of 2 improved varieties of wheat seeds for trials in several farming areas. The two wheat varieties, Durum Wheat MBA Maja and Alta 84 January 2022, are expected to bridge the gap of the cereal production from 5 to 50% to meet the annual consumption rate of over 4.7 metric tons in the Northeast alone.
We have covered both the rain-fed and irrigated in terms of bread wheat.
With increasing demand for flour and other wheat products, the two varieties have the capacity to enhance total farming systems in Northeast as trials continue as part of the post-insurgency recovery programs to boost agricultural production.
Considerable number of extension workers were trained so that they will ensure proper passage of the technology, new technology of rice and wheat production.
Farmers and other stakeholders in the cereal production lament the abandoning of agricultural practice, especially in Murti and other arable lands suitable for large-scale wheat cultivation in the Lake Chad area.
CBN made an intervention and brought in a warm climate wheat, but you have to really coat it properly with urea before you use it. The security challenges has forbidden use of urea here in Borno State, so most of our farmers have not been able to get the seeds to use them properly.
The new initiatives with the support of Borno State government is hoped will no doubt raise prospects for a quantum leap in wheat production, especially among resettled and returned communities.
From Maiduguri, we go over to Kano for our second report. Okay, while we sort that out, let's look at some of the other issues here that have been facing wheat farmers and standing in the way of wheat production. A number of these factors have been identified. You seem to give so much credit to the central bank and a new change in the approach. Now, how much has this impacted on both production and the quality of what comes?
Yeah, despite the fact that there are some challenges all over, because in any beginning of any activity, challenges must rise up. But for this program that we are currently doing, the farmers has adapted, the new technologies. They came out willingly to participate under the program, and we at the association level organize them and put them into cluster groupings so that it will be very easy for them to want to adopt the innovation, 2, to practice as a team, 3, to be able to pay back the loan that we are given to. We have just seen a clip from Borno State, that Maiduguri. Despite the fact that there is insurgency there, still we penetrated into that state and planted up to about 400 hectares in Maiduguri, and it is germinating very well, as you can see through the pictures that are there. And you see, as we gradually continued, addressing the issues that were there, and despite by the fact that we are trying to develop the seed to be self-sufficient in food security in the country, and it will just be like a revolution, as I said earlier, that I've started, which will sustain the program in a later time. As currently now, as I'm talking to you, there are areas that are about to be harvested in the few number of days. And based on the one that we harvested last week, we have seen the potentiality of the seed. Because a farmer in his farm got about 4 metric tons, as rightly said by Dr. Olabanji, and this is very economical. Once you can, get a level of about 4 tons in a hectare, considering the fact that they are economic of production, if you sell it at the market prevailing price or at a very reasonable margin of uptake by the flour millers, definitely the farmer will have some cash to put in his pocket. So this is what will influence and, bring in the participation of more people into the program. Okay. Initially, wheat was grown at a loss. But now we are hoping, by the example we have started seeing, it will be a cash crop economy whereby everybody will come and participate under it.
All right, let's return to our report from Kano now and see if we can get that report on air.
I've never seen my wheat grow and produce like this. The seeds are very okay, and we hope to continue benefiting from such support.
That testimony by Haruna Abdu is just one out of the more than 5,000 wheat farmers who benefited from the Wheat and Co-Borrowers program of the federal government in Kano State. This is as a result of the multifaceted approach employed to attract more farmers into wheat production, one of the highly consumed food in every household, but still in less production, with billions of dollars spent on its importation. The Kano State government has also lent its support in this direction to improve the production of wheat and increase earnings.
Farmers are being supported with knapsack sprayers for the management of crops. 100 farmers have been supported with seeds, chemicals, and fertilizers for production. That is during the planting season. And then there was a training of over 1,500 farmers. And also they are being supported with demonstration inputs free of charge.
Apart from the training and input support, seeds, one of the critical requirements, was also imported from Mexico and distributed to farmers across the 12 producing states. With this support, farmers believe that what is more required is mechanization to produce in abundance.
My plea to government and the CBN is anytime that we are going to participate in this program, let our input be on hand. Let us by November.
Add mechanization into the farming activity, and based on the expected results that we are expecting to receive at this season, I think the sky will be the limit of wheat farming in Nigeria.
Haruna and his partners alike, who are full of praises to the federal government, are optimistic that Nigeria will soon bid farewell to importation of wheat and joblessness.
All right, we're joined tonight by Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Umar. He's an agronomist and wheat researcher at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He joins us via Zoom from Zaria. Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Umar, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Well, give us your impressions on the matter at hand, wheat production. Now we're talking about in terms of the quality and the ability of Nigeria to be self-sufficient in wheat production.
I didn't get your last comment.
Okay.
In any case,
quality, quantity, wheat production generally, and the potential to become self-sufficient. That's what we want you to give us your impressions about.
Thank you very much. For the quantity, we are still very far behind because our requirement as a nation, as we all know, is well above 2 million metric tons per annum. And today we are cultivating or producing far less than 200,000 tons, which is less than 5% of our requirement. Some people have already talked about that. You know, severally, on many occasions, people try to compare us with Sudan and Ethiopia. We actually started together in a project. There is a project called the Support for Agricultural Research and Development of Strategic Crops. This project was funded by African Development Bank and implemented by International Center for Agricultural Research in Dryland Areas, which is ICADA, in Nigeria, in Mali, in Niger, in Mauritania, in West Africa, in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Zimbabwe, in East Africa, and also in Sudan and Eritrea. We started this project together, but ours, we couldn't achieve the full benefit of the project because of lack of support from government. Sudan and Ethiopia took the issue of wheat as a life and death matter. They took wheat with all passion. Government supported, and all agencies of government put their hands on deck to ensure that they produce sufficient wheat for their population. I must say here that just the way wheat is important in Sudan and Ethiopia, it is equally important in Nigeria. Nigerians like eating bread, we like eating macaroni, spaghetti, cakes of various forms, which we celebrate, which we use during celebrations, or are products of wheat. That means if we like wheat, we have to produce wheat in sufficient quantity. That will be enough for us, enough for our population, and enough for our economy. Unfortunately, that is not the case.
Okay.
So what I will call the government, Nigerian government, to do, I'm happy today that the Central Bank of Nigeria has provided a credit line, a soft credit to farmers through the Anko Borrower program. And this has no doubt boost with production. We should continue in this line, and the state government, just like Kano state government is doing, other wheat producing states should actually support the farmers. All over the world, it is known that farmers are supported through subsidies. Nigeria should not be an exception. I believe by the time we do that, in the next 2, 3, 4 years, we should be able to produce at least 70% of our wheat, just as Sudan and Ethiopia is doing. About the quality, Nigerian scientists have produced several wheat varieties during the third and third SE project. Dr. Olabanji is in the studio. He knows the efforts we have done. We have released no less than 8 varieties of wheat, which are high yielding, heat tolerant, and adaptable to Nigerian conditions. These varieties are there. All that the Central Bank of Nigeria should do now is to support seed producers, seed companies, so that these varieties will be produced in large quantities. It is not just enough to import seeds from other countries.
All right, Prof, thank you very much. We'll return to you in a moment or two. We'll return to you, Prof, in a moment or two, but something interesting which you raised here about Nigerians' love for bread and such other products that come from
wheat.
Yeah. Wheat. And I'm looking at it in the context that less than 5% of what we need is what we produce. With the statistics saying that we've imported so much from other countries, particularly Russia and Ukraine. And here we are with a situation in those countries. Already you heard some people speculating that with what's going on now, it will lead to an increase in the price of bread and so many other commodities. Now, put that into context for us.
Okay, sir. When we talk of country production, China produced the largest quantity of wheat globally, 134.9 million tons is what China produced. Russia produces 89.5 million tons of wheat. Ukraine, 26.3 million tons. You can imagine, if we are deprived of all this, where shall we be? And that is why the interventions we are having presently can upscale our production, the productivity and production. And that gladdens my heart that yes, CBN has come with an intervention flour mill also come with intervention. Flour mill is not only mopping, it's not only off-taker. They are also into production. They have cultivated about 2,500 hectares this season. Now, we talk of other interventions. Nigerians in diaspora, they were satisfied and impressed with the success stories recorded in Nigeria on wheat production. Just last week, they sent top 25 lines of wheat that were developed globally to us. These varieties are heat tolerant and they should be able to give us about 8 tons per hectare. It arrived this country last week. We have collected it, which we are going to screen for adaptability. Not only that, you know what actually brought production is the market. A farmer will not produce what he knows there's no market for. Now that they have been assured of market, wheat is catching fire now in Nigeria. If you travel now, I'm telling you, I just came back from Jos, Bauchi. If you travel wide now, you will see wheat almost everywhere, unlike before. Then let me mention one thing that Prof mentioned. It's not that we scientists in Nigeria have not done our best. We have 2 advantages of wheat production. You can grow this wheat under irrigated conditions and under rainfed conditions. So it is easier for us to quickly achieve self-sufficiency if the political will is maintained or sustained and the market is also sustained. Under rainfed conditions, I mentioned it, there are 3 Nigerian highlands where the rainfed wheat can be grown. We have exploited one last season in Jos. We planted rainfed, very historic, in the sense that about 400 hectares was put into production. And it has been demonstrated that rainfed wheat does well in Nigeria. It's just for us to scale.
Okay, well, at this point, let's just quickly tell you that you can join in the conversation in the studio. The phone lines will be on your screens. We advise you call in if you have something to contribute to this discussion on wheat production. But let me quickly say, as we always do every week, that if you do call in and your call gets through to the studio, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set so as to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And we also like to encourage you to go straight to the point if you get through on the phone lines. Don't bother too much about the greetings. Mere hello should do. We would expect that whatever issues you raise will be addressed by our guests here today. So the numbers will be on your screen. Call in if you have anything to put in, a question or a comment on the production of wheat and Nigeria attaining self-sufficiency. Right. So, yes.
Cyril, as rightly said, and based on the question, you know, I'm sure there must be an agitation, you know, by the farmers looking at the situation at hand now.
Right.
That price will rise and they will make a lot of money. But that is not the issue. The fundamental issue is to look at our situation, look at our environment, and see how we can stabilize in between. Because this issue cannot be permanent, right? So if the prices now has been hijacked, or ambitious people who are trying to hijack the price to a certain level, what if the issue is over? Then it means we have to come down again to a normal situation. So what we are trying to do now is to make sure we educated our farmers to understand the situation is temporary, but the best bet of it is to make sure you produce and get something that is worth the value of what you produced. In as much as that is attained, I'm sure by the next season, we are now preparing to go for the wet season farming. And if we turn around to the dry season again, we multiply the number of our production. That will make the productivity high and will stabilize the price. So I'm not looking at this as an opportunity that you can just grab at once, then tomorrow when you are looking for it, you cannot find it. That's the way I'm looking at it, sir.
Right. Stephen Abore.
Yes, thank you very much, Cyril. I think stakeholders in the Nigerian wheat value chain should really be commended. Right now we're talking about Russia, but before Russia there was COVID. And tomorrow there can be something else, you know. Why I said commend stakeholders in the Nigerian value chain, even before this happened, we sat down and looked at our reality. Dr. Olabanji said we have just 1.2 million hectares of land that can cultivate wheat. So it means if you have a yield that does 3 metric tons per hectare, you need at least 1.7 million hectares to meet national demand. That's not possible, you know. So that is why the strategy adopted is going to help us and is providing a very good basis for addressing any supply chain issues in future. First, he spoke about the number of circles of wheat in Nigeria. As we are today, based on what we've done, we've established that we can do wheat in 2 circles in Nigeria. That's one. Secondly, expanding the land under cultivation in wheat. As we are speaking now, for the very first time, just like we did in Jos, wheat is being produced in commercial quantity in Niger, in Mina State. Yes. That's on the land. When you look at seed, Alaji did mention about pricing for his farmers. 1 metric ton increase in yield translates to over 300% profitability for the farmer. You know, so both on the land side and on the farmer side, there's incentive for production. What this will do is we're going to need less land. So on the macro and on the micro level, productivity increases, you know, and the entire process is sustainable. Sustainable, not because CBN is going to be in it forever, you know, not because any other stakeholder is going to be in it forever, but because all stakeholders in the value chain are there. And we're really thinking about backward integration and the participation of private players and in this. Alaji is just one of 17 other players that are in wheat production this year. Dr. Olabanji did speak about the millers. Backward integration is also in play. So we're doing a couple of things that even after Russia simmers down, we'll put ourselves on a very good pedestal for sustainability and food security.
On a lighter note, it gladdens me that you say this is catching on strong and Niger State is stepping out there to be... Right, so I should be interested in that. Maybe we'll talk about that after the program.
Okay. But we can say it.
Yeah, sure.
We can say it. You see, it is also in our strategy to expand the wheat production to other frontiers, that is, areas that are marginal areas. Because what we have developed is the heat-tolerant varieties. Now we have penetrated Niger. But next season, we are going to Kwara, that is North Central. At least, if the North Central, look at it, Niger State had more than 50,000 hectares of land.
Sure.
So if we put that into wheat production, just as you said, this season, 5,100 hectares was cultivated for wheat farmers in Niger that have never planted the wheat before. I was so happy, and if their wheat is already flowering. It's already flowering now. In another 3 weeks, we are harvesting there. So we are going to exploit other marginal areas, Benue, Kwara, Kogi. When we put all these things together, what I said, and I will continue to say it, is the sustainability of our policy. Let the policy remain. Let this subsidy be given to the farmers. Let there be enough investment in wheat production. You are spending so much. If we spend $4 billion annually, let's put it average, $2 billion. If government spends $2 billion for local wheat production, I tell you, sir, within 5 years, we'll be there. Thank you.
You keep going back to the issue of policy stability, and many people you talk to will tell you that is a real issue. So what guarantees can Nigerians and indeed wheat farmers have that these policies that you say are currently producing this revolution would be sustainable?
As you rightly said, we have been advocating over years, but now we have started seeing a leaf of life. Because I could recall last 3 weeks ago, we had a joint meeting, strategic joint meeting with Federal Ministry of Agriculture, all the relevant value stakeholders, including the African Development Bank partners, who were there to design a policy, a framework that will guide the policy and that will make sure that the policy has been instituted so that we can be able to develop a sound framework that will allow the production of wheat over years. We have started that meeting, and it is on now, and we are hoping before those few months to come, the government will put that policy into place, and it will be like a development plan over a certain period of years. So once we get that, that assures stability in the subsector, and that will guarantee continuation, in the production of the subsector, and that will also allow private investors to have interest and key into the development of the sector. Because as rightly said by our financer, Mr. Stephen, it cannot be a continuous cycle whereby CBN will be handling this matter of financing the project over years. So, but when we have a sound policy, a clear-cut standard policy, we have our projection of what we want to achieve in the next 5 or 10 years in the country, definitely we will see an interest in investors coming in, within and even outside the country, because of the potentialities we have.
Okay. And since we still have a situation report from Kebbi, if we're good with that, yes, a situation report from Kebbi, but if we're not good with that, we might return to it later. However, if we are set, let's get to see that situation report from Kebbi.
Kebbi, an agrarian state with the potentials of producing enough agricultural product for the country's local consumption and surplus for exportation. In wheat production, like rice, Kebbi is also making a headway through the federal government policy complemented by the state government, as presently over 10,000 farmers were incorporated in the wheat production across the state, and the number is appreciably increasing. The wheat production in Kebbi has 3 windows of support opportunity under the Commodity Anko Borrowers Program.
Kebbi State has 3 windows of wheat cultivation. There's what we call We Farm AMCO, there is private AMCO, and then there is association AMCO. With the prime AMCO and the association AMCO and the private AMCO, Kebbi State this year is covering about 10,000 hectares of wheat. Okay, the wheat farmers are cultivating about 8,000, the small scale farmers 6,000, and the large scale 2,000. And this can be envisaged when you go to the field.
With the implementation of deliberate policies and the utilization of the endowed agricultural potentials of the state, recently, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in collaborative effort with the Flour Milling Association of Nigeria, wheat farmers in Kebbi State celebrated the Greenfield Day in Dangamaji community in Jega local government, aimed at equipping the farmers with modern technology in wheat production for bumper harvest. 4 local governments of Argungu, Birnin Kebbi, Bunza, and Jiga were selected for the training, with the 64 demonstrated wheat farms established in the selected local governments under the program, alongside private outgrowers cultivating about 250 hectares. Over 700 tons of wheat is expected to be produced this season alone.
The set of technologies that were brought, just like we did in rice, we are repeating on wheat now. When you bring new set of technologies, they are not totally embraced wholeheartedly from the onset. But it's on days like this, when people see the result of these technologies, that you hopefully by next season see everyone embrace them, and you will have wheat growing all over.
Farmers in the state have also described the recent federal and state government commitment as a morale booster in the production of the commodity, pointing out that the involvement of Flour Milling Association indicates the availability of market opportunities.
Gaskiya bara muka fara haduwa da wannan kamfani akan jin dadin da muka je na haduwa da shi bara.
With the present support we are receiving from the government, more farmers are now cultivating wheat. Last year, only 25 of us in our community cultivated wheat, but this year we are over 60. We have been cultivating wheat for over 10 years, and usually we sell it at our local market. But with the input support and the involvement of the milling companies, we are confident that the commodity price will be good. I have quadrupled my wheat cultivation this year against what I produced last year because of the support. Not me alone. Other wheat farmers achieved the same, and they are happy.
All right. from that report, we took our very first call tonight. This is coming from Jos. Ada, I believe, a regular caller on this program. Go ahead, Ada. Good evening.
Plateau State. We have to make deliberate efforts to increase our wheat production in order to move away from our usual dependency syndrome. Now, look at what is happening in Russia now. That's Russian invasion of Ukraine. You can see what is happening now. We're going to have issues because we're not producing enough. I think that the greatest problem we have in Nigeria is, one, insecurity. Two, the CBN. Yes, they are giving interventions, but that intervention, is it given to political farmers? That is the issue. You know, why can't we produce enough wheat for ourselves and then add value to it so that we can now create jobs? I hope when we start producing enough, it will not be like crude. We will now export it somewhere, they add value, and then they bring it back to us. You know, we just have to wake up as a country, honestly speaking. I think corruption is part of the problem. You know, and then mechanized farming. If we mechanize it, it will help to produce much, and then it will also be attractive to the youth. You know, they will be interested in wheat farming and all that. So we can't be doing things the old way and expect magic to happen. Then, again, irrigation farming. We don't have to be waiting for the rain or whatever, you know, to be able to produce. Because I keep on wondering what is happening. We have variable land, and yet we cannot produce anything that is sufficient for the country. What is happening? We just have to go back to the drawing board and start to know where the rain started beating us in this country. All the same, let's not give up on Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much, Ada. And straight away, I would ask Stephen Ambore to address that. Are you giving now this to political farmers or the real farmers? Well, you will tell us about that, and the president of the Farmers Association will speak, the Wheat Farmers Association will speak on that as well. But let's hear you first.
Thank you very much again, Cyril, and thank you very much, Ada. Indeed, she said things that are very, very important, and indeed, we're talking about the sustainability of wheat production in Nigeria, and if it is to be sustainable, the issue of farmer onboarding, the issues of mechanization, the issue of ramping up our irrigation capability is very, very important. Just to assure Ada and other people out there that people do not just come and say, give me money or something to go and farm. You know, first of all, there's a process that they go through. Just so that you know, this year we received application for over 1-point-something million farmers. But through verification for identity KYC, for credit checks, we came down to cultivate 132,000, just to let you know that there's a lot of work that goes into it. So, you know,
some 800 and something might not have been.
Yes, because we want to be sure we are dealing with real farmers. That is not to say people that are not farming wheat today cannot be wheat farmers tomorrow, but want to be sure that whoever comes, you know, really participates in wheat. It's not just wheat. We do that for the entire value chain that we intervene. And indeed, mechanization is very important for productivity because our objective is productivity. Once we have productivity at the macro and micro level, so we are in the path for sustainability. So we take very seriously the issue of mechanization, and we design the cost of production, economic of production, to charter for productivity. We just had a meeting on harvest. Our target is, because of the way our lands are, you know, we might not get 100% mechanization, even in harvesting, but we are targeting 60%, and we get better, you know, even as we fix our land systems and more people come in. And for irrigation, we have facilities. It's not just Anchor Borrower that we do. We have other funding models that private players can access and expand land under irrigation. We have a private accelerated agri-development scheme that people can access and open up more irrigation. And we're seeing innovations. People are bringing different innovations to get irrigation, you know, to their field. So a lot of things are happening. This is year 0. And we're already seeing early signs of success. And like we do usually, we get feedback and then we improve, and next season will be better. But one thing I can assure you is next year, we're going to have a lot more than 132,000 people interested in wheat for 2 reasons. One, because the news is just everywhere,
Okay.
and of course, farmers are happy. With farmers are happy people now. It's definitely going to attract people next year. But we do the needful and be sure that we fund actual farmers.
Now, just before the wheat farmers president comes in, we have on the line Umar Anache from Birnin Kebi. Umar, you've been rather quiet these days. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Umar Anache, calling from Birnin Kebi as usual. You see, this Uncle Boroa issue is only on paper. Like I was saying, it's only on paper. But when it comes to reality, the implementation, they will forget about farmers. With their bureaucracy, with a lot of filling forms, without getting the money. That is the real problem. And the other issue is that they don't know who is real farmer. Let them go to the villages. Let them collaborate with village head. That is where the real farmer is. And you cannot find the real farmer in cities. Go to the village. You will find the real farmers. Those who are ready to farm, they are in the village. Yes, that is it. The Anko borrower failed woefully simply because the target farmers were not reached. They just want to they are on form. I don't know even how to say this.
Okay, Umar.
The real thing is that
you know what we're going to do?
Farmers are in the villages.
Okay, fine. Umar, you know what we'll do right now?
That's the real thing.
We will let the president of the Wheat Farmers Association come in here. He's heard you and would like to get his take on this.
Thank you very much for your questions and challenges. You know, all successes lies along challenges. If there are no challenges, there are no successes. Let me put the two questions together, both of the Ada and the Umar. Initially, I used to call wheat a political crop. And she's right by saying that political farmers. But in wheat, currently as I'm speaking with you, I assure you that we don't have any political farmer. Because we follow due processes. Like rightly said by Stephen Ambori, there are a lot of issues. And that's what culminate to the question of Umar, that we are not reaching the right farmers. The process is not just we go to the village, pick farmers randomly, put their names and numbers and say, okay, take inputs and grow for us. One, you have to go through the normal channel, through the association. In the structure of the association, we have state structure and local government structures. So you have to go there, identify yourself, show your willingness, because farming, if you don't have passion in it, whatever amount of money we give you, you cannot go into the land and cultivate. So you have to go and indicate your interest. Who will take your particulars? All the biodata, the BBN and everything, after collation of this list, and we take this registration without payment of a single kobo. We don't charge any farmer to pay us 1 naira before we get his particulars. After getting the particulars, we send it to CBN. CBN will validate your BBN. Where a lot of farmers were dropped out was of the issue of the BBN and the wrong filling of the forms in getting the biodata. That is one. The other issue that is happening is on this very program we are doing. It's not that when your name has just come out as a beneficiary, you take input. No. We have to go and identify your land, mark your land, coded your land, make sure that the land is prepared before we give you inputs. That's why, as he said, over 1.2 million people has applied, but we end up having about 137, because there are a lot of critical checks to ensure that you are a real farmer, not a local farmer, before you participated in the program. And in the issue of Ada in Plateau State, we tried all we could this season to see that after the wet program conducted in your state, that we were able to take up with the dry season activity. But we were late, and we don't want to put farmers into the loss. But nevertheless, we still have cultivated about 32 hectares in Plateau State to see the result of what is the performance of the wheat in that state. Can it be sustainable under the dry season, or Plateau State is better to be conducted the program under the wet season? So I challenge any farmer who know he's a real farmer, come to the association, register give the valid information you want. I assure you, when you scale through the validation exercise, you will be part of the farmer that will support.
We have another caller, Ahmed, who's calling in from Gombe. Go ahead.
The issue of the wheat farming is very important, and as important as it is, I can see that they're new to many farmers in the country. In fact, at this juncture, there is need for the enlightenment about, for instance, where the wheat will be cultivated in the country. I'm talking about the land. For instance, from the beginning of the program to this moment, I only heard about Niger, Jos, and Kebbi, without, for instance, mentioning other states like Gombe, where I came from. So it could be very important to know where will be the fertile soil that the wheat farming could be very nice, one. And apart from that, which season will fit the farming system of the wheat? Is it the rainy season or the dry season? More importantly, there is need also at the same time to keep enlightenment public about these loan assessments, because it seems like there are many Nigerians who actually are not aware of these loan assessments. Even as we hear about the CBNs and other things, intervene into all these kind of things. All that is limited is the rice farming system. The wheat farming system is not even something that is known to the public. So it's very important, as we are talking about this, we need to enlighten public. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ahmed. And I'm sure that when we link up with Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Umar, who's an agronomist and a wheat researcher, he'll be able to tell you all those places that include the places. Let's link up with Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Umar in Zaria.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, we have a lot of good places for growing wheat in Nigeria. We have good soils, we have good climate, as long as we make use of the window given to us by nature, which is the Hamatan. Unfortunately, wheat is still grown in this country very late. You see farmers growing wheat late in January, which will not yield enough for them to be profitable. It is best, and I wish at this juncture to appeal to the Central Bank of Nigeria, when you are supplying seed and other inputs to farmers, this should be done early enough, most preferably before the 15th of November. Otherwise, the desired productivity you have been talking will not be achieved. There is no way you can achieve high productivity when you supply seed to farmers late. Seed which should actually be planted between 15th of November to 15th of December. Anything after 15th of December, when you plant wheat, you are likely to get low yield. And this can actually discourage farmers. I heard people talking about Nigeria having, particularly Olabanji, talking about 1.2 million hectares of potentially for wheat. Yeah. I think for now we have more than that, because anywhere rice is grown during the dry season, wheat can actually be grown, particularly between latitude 10 to 14 degrees north, which means virtually all of the northwest and the northeast states. These are the wheat producing states. So if actually you grow wheat in these areas, taking advantage of the Hamatan, you are likely to get all the benefits of high yields and productivity.
All right. Yes.
For clarity to Ahmed's question,
okay.
Just tell him that we have planted over 2,646 hectares in Gombe State.
Yeah.
And it is germinating very well.
Right.
We have the chapter. Previously, my state chairman was currently now the Commissioner of Information. I quite agree with your submission that we need to intensify sensitization and mobilization, which we will definitely do. So Gombe is not excluded out of the program. We did the program under 14 states. Namely, if you want for the interest of 15 states, for the interest of the viewers to hear, we did program in Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi, Gombe, Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, and Plateau states. So we have covered 15 states for this season planting. And we are thinking of expanding our scope. We put Niger for this time around, and we are thinking of putting Kogi and Kwara State in the next program because they have also the potentiality to join into the program. Gradually, we will expand, possibly to cover, I'm not sure, we cannot be able to cover the 36 states due to some, the nature of wheat and how the weather determines production of wheat, but at least we can cover about 24 states in Nigeria very soon under the dry season and the wet season program.
Okay, yes.
Sorry, just to quickly respond to the caller from Kebbi, just like the caller from Gombe. We take feedback from here. Sensitization is very important. But just to encourage him, we work with all the players to commence early sensitization, because the more they understand the processes, the easier it is for them. It is in everybody's interest that as many farmers as possible get access to participate in this program, because it is creating employment for Nigerians, it is income for farmers, so it is in everybody's interest that a lot of Nigerians participate. So we'll take that in and we'll work with all players at state level to ensure timely sensitization, so that the process will be more seamless for people like him going forward. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you, yes. You see, under this present program of the CBA, we are using crop commodities. There are two commodity associations. The Wheat Farmers Association. There is still another one, Wheat Farmers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria.
Yes.
These people have registered their members. And now we are learning from the former experiences, that now, for next season, all our wheat farmers must be profiled. We must have their bio data with their headquarters, with the president. That is number one. Once that one is captured, they have your picture, they have all your profile, your land area, and all those things will be captured. We have already agreed on that as another innovation. Then the other issue now is on these states. Even my own people, I'm from the south, I'm from southwest. My people are saying, oh, if this wheat is doing very well in the north, why don't you come and plant it in the southwest?
All right, why not?
Why not? Yes, we are saying this is a temperate crop. Don't forget, temperate crop that loves cold temperature. Wheat thrives under the temperature of 18 degrees centigrade to highest 35 degrees Celsius. Anything above this, wheat cannot do well. And in the south, during the rainy season or dry season, the humidity also affects the wheat. When you have built up of humidity, it gives room to pests and diseases attack. And that is why in the north, when we plant our wheat during the dry season, you have less pests and diseases compared to rain-fed. So these are issues. Now we have already 15 states and already cultivated wheat presently now. Now we included Niger to make 16. By next year, it could go to 18 or 20. Then on the issue of sensitization and advocacy, during agricultural transformation agenda. That was the first thing we did, even with the president. We went around all the states with the political office holders, the governors, the party. We discussed with them on the importance of wheat in Nigeria, particularly as it affects our economy, that all hands should be on deck. If you look at Kaduna State was not included before.
Yeah,
Kaduna joined recently, about 4 years ago, and the governor is giving full support. Now Kaduna is producing large quantity of wheat in Nigeria. So, sir, in a nutshell, my advocacy to Nigerians, we should believe in our country that whatever we eat must be produced. As we have had, we eat a lot of wheat in form of bread, in form of indomie and whatever. We must, all hands must be on deck to produce this wheat. And R&D is also very critical.
Okay.
Research for development. Government must invest more money in research so that we can continue to produce or to develop good materials that can yield up to 8 tons per hectare. Why not? If we have that, sir, the issue of input, everybody will be happy. This man will be a millionaire. We are saying our farmers must be millionaires, and they are coming up now. Yeah. With this productivity we are getting. Thank you, sir.
Right. On a global scale, there is what they talk about, the politics of commodities internationally.
Yes.
Where are we with the question of wheat production? How has that affected what we project to do and where we're going to be, and how we'll stand up to these international issues that sometimes stand in the way of not only having sufficient at home, but also becoming
an export. Yeah.
Because we would like Nigeria, we would like other countries to be spending hundreds of billions in, importing wheat from Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah, Cyril started, and that is why we are here today. We've spoken a lot about seed. First of all, it's not just about the farmer, it's also about the processor. The processor must be happy with the quality of output he's getting from the field. If the processor is happy, he's very sure that his material will be well liked in the markets. As it is in Nigeria, we have good material, not just for yield, but to provide quality outputs. So the farmer will be happy and the processor will be happy. So we've already done a very good linkage between who is producing and who is processing for consumption. Secondly, as we gradually expand production, we'll be able to achieve self-sufficiency in country and ultimately be a net exporter. We've already commenced the journey.
And in addition to what he said, I think the policy issue is very, very critical in this perspective. If the government can develop and sign a policy of sustainability of wheat production in the country over years, I'm sure that Nigeria will compete with any other developing wheat country in the world. Based on the potentialities already highlighted here, the interest of the general farmers trying to engage into the product, the profitability of the product because of the availability of off-takers, and many other factors. All we need is to have a sound standard policy that will guarantee wheat production in the country over years. But if this policy can be somersaulting from one administration to the other, it means we are just going forward and then 2 step or 3 step backward, which cannot take us anywhere.
One key aspect that was talked about, one of our callers spoke about it, and Stephen Ambore also spoke about it, mechanization. What is standing in the way of improved mechanization?
Yeah, as rightly said, in every farming activity, what increases productivity is mechanization as well. 1, it reduces the cost of production. 2, it makes the production, very, very profitable because it increases the yield performance based on the productivity and the practice put in place. But you see, in our context here in Nigeria, we have to start thinking of looking at mechanizing all our farms, not only wheat, in every other commodity that we are producing in the country. We know the tools are very, very costly, but by the funding that we are getting from CBN, if CBN can look critically inward, I know it has started looking at it in the RIF, and that is Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. We are expecting also, well, by next season, our planting season will be able to access some of these implements that can be owned by the association, instead of always waiting to hire at an exorbitant rate price of this. So the moment we started graduating, initially, we started by subsistence farming. That is the derogatory system of farming, and now we are able to semi-mechanized farming. But if we can get it at a fully mechanized, activity, definitely everybody will be at
our government has a very big role to play as far as mechanization is concerned. No country can be food secured without mechanization.
Let me quickly go to Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Umar. Yes, you're still with us. If you're still with us, you talked about the amount of work done by Nigerian scientists in coming up with improved varieties, that can increase yield. Are we also looking into local technologies in the matter of mechanization that can be applied to, let's say, leapfrog, get there faster?
Yeah. You see, mechanization is critical to increase in productivity. But you see, I heard you asking a question. What are the impediments to mechanization? You see, one of the impediments to mechanization is the small land holding of our farmers. Unless, of course, you cluster them, it will be very difficult to attain full mechanization. However, there are indigenous technology in Nigeria, which are machines fabricated by research institutes, by even private entrepreneurs. We have threshers, wheat threshers, we have reeders, we have cultivators, we have reapers, which are actually fabricated by Nigerian entrepreneurs. These are machines that can be used in harvesting, in cutting the wheat, and then manually putting the stalks into the thresher to thresh the grains. This actually reduces drudgery. And we have mechanization in the area of land preparation, in the area of planting and what have you. And I believe Nigerian research system have the capacity to actually produce machines that can be used by Nigerian farmers. We have that capacity, and I believe if we are serious, we can look inwards. The central bank can also, as they are supporting farmers, they can identify these entrepreneurs and really support them so that they can produce these simple machines, not necessarily Internet of Things or, high-tech machineries, but simple machines that an ordinary small-scale farmer can use to reduce his drudgery and also to increase his productivity. Thank you.
All right, so at this point, we'd like to thank you, Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Umar, agronomist and wheat researcher at the ABU Zaria. I would like to thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on this program. Thank you so much, and we look forward to speaking with you more on wheat production. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
You are welcome.
Okay, and as we return to the studio here in Abuja, also the closing comments of the president of the Wheat Farmers Association with this initiative, this drive to make Nigeria self-sufficient in wheat production and export.
Well, we sincerely appreciate the government of the day by bringing back wheat production in the country. And we are looking forward to have a very sound policy that will sustain the production and also, empower CBN to empower both the production and the mechanization sector of the association.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for Stephen Ambore, CBN.
Yes, thank you very much. The brown revolution has started. We believe we've laid a solid foundation for self-sustainability in wheat production. We'll keep working with all players in the field to facilitate collaboration, because we know with collaboration we'll get there. So the brown revolution is on. Thank you.
Right. Dr. Labaji.
Thank you, sir. Yes, as I said before, we have started a new journey to self-sufficiency in wheat production in Nigeria. For R&D, there must be a good investment so that we can develop heat tolerant, drought tolerant, pest resistant materials that can give us 6 to 8 tons per hectare. And with the support we are getting from CBN, FMAN, we want it to be sustained. Not that CBN will be there forever, but investors should have interest and passion for wheat production in Nigeria. I'm very sure within the next 5 years, Nigeria should attain nothing less than 70% self-sufficiency in Nigeria.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
And it is on that optimistic note we conclude this discussion. I always say no one program can take care of all the issues. We'd like to thank our guests very much for coming on. We also like to thank those who called in to ask questions or make comments. That's what makes the program. Thank you very much. Next week we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Continue to stay safe.